Attention, this is an emergency broadcast. Every day an invisible war is being fought inside your body, and you are one of the soldiers losing this battle without even knowing it. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
If you've ever wondered why some people can do impossible looking bodyweight movements like holding their bodyweight parallel to the floor with only their hands, this is called a planche, while other people struggle with just push-ups and get wrist pain and shoulder pain, this war is the reason. 50 years ago, the average person had tendons that could handle whatever their day demanded. Now, many of us struggle with movements that should feel natural. Forearm pain when attempting hard bodyweight skills such as muscle ups, handstands, and even planche. Maybe even knee pain from running. These are distress signals from the front lines. Weak tendons are the invisible barrier preventing you from reaching your body's true potential. Your tendons can be the difference from mastering advanced movements that look superhuman or needing wrist wraps for basic movements. The question isn't whether your tendons are weaker than previous generations. The research confirms they are. The question is, how did we end up losing this war? And more importantly, how do we fight back? In this video, we'll go through just that. This enemy I like to call modernity has been advancing for years, and the casualties it's caused has been staggering. Here are the facts. In Sweden, bicep tendon tears went up 6 times in men from 2001 to 2016. In Finland, these tears went up 7 times from 1997 to 2016. And in the UK, Achilles tendon ruptures nearly doubled between 1995 and 2019. This affects everyone, from young athletes to ordinary people. Here's what's incredible. Some forces remain undefeated. People from the 80s seem to have had almost 4 to 5 tendons of sorts, while another group, elite gymnasts, represents our society's elite special forces in terms of tendons. They can perform skills that seem almost impossible to regular people today, and one of their secret weapons is their tendon strength. Now, we're breaking this invasion down into 3 phases, and understanding how we began losing this war is the first step to winning it back. Now, let's examine how the enemy first breached our defenses. Back in the 1960s, your grandfather's generation had natural armor built through daily battle. Half of all jobs at the time were physical. This means their tendons were forged in the fires of lifting things, carrying, climbing, and building. Today, the number of physical jobs has dropped to less than 20%. This is how we began being overwhelmed systematically. Think about it. Your grandfather's tendons had to adapt to hundreds of different movement patterns daily and being loaded in many different ranges of motion, like a soldier being trained in every weapon. Meanwhile, a large portion of people today, almost to no fault of their own, struggle with a lot of basic bodyweight movements. And it's not even 100% their fault. You may be waging war with defective gear, undermined by the relentless assault of contemporary life. This just means that the modern lifestyle we have now has had a big effect on us and what we're able to do physically. Over time, manual agriculture and manufacturing started to decline due to a new innovation, automation. This eliminated most physical jobs, and with that, modernity's first assault succeeded, stripping our tendons of their daily battlefield conditioning. This created masses of untrained, unconditioned, and vulnerable soldiers within our own bodies. Our tendons were beginning to weaken. Our tendons began being deconditioned from heavy lifting, high stress movements, and even high impact sports and running. This phase created the perfect storm for weakness, not only in our tendons, but in other areas as well. People went from doing hundreds of different movements to only a handful. Factory workers still moved, but in repetitive cycles. Then came the office job revolution. Suddenly, millions of people spent 8+ hours per day sat in the same positions, using their tendons in the same limited patterns daily. Top of that, the enemy modernity started applying psychological warfare, giving us ergonomic solutions.
The prices have fallen on all of our chairs, folding chairs, side chairs, secretarial chairs, and executive chairs.
Despite this, some warriors remained pretty strong, and there's one notable period that we all know as we enter the golden era of bodybuilding. You saw legendary athletes such as Arnold performing movements that people now consider a death wish if you were to do them. So these were things like behind the neck presses, deep range of motion exercises, and I mean deep. They were putting their joints to the end extremes. And of course, these people were enhanced, but even by today's enhanced athlete standards, I don't see a lot of bodybuilders doing those same type of movements, putting their joints in those type of ranges. Many modern bodybuilders avoid those types of exercises. Why? Because the limitations on our bodies started at an earlier stage for us. We were born into this sort of modern lifestyle that caused the deconditioning of our tendons from an earlier age. I'm sure you've heard older generations and maybe even your parents say that they had to walk miles and back to get to school. Even my parents, they were born in Ghana, they always told me that they had to walk miles and miles to get water and then bring it all back carrying it. While kind of annoying to hear while growing up, this nostalgia reflects a real shift that happened due to the modern lifestyle. In 1969, about 50% of American kids walked or rode bikes to school. By 2003, only 13% walked and 1% rode their bike. The reason? More cars everywhere. In 1950s Britain, there were only 2.5 million cars. By 2011, over 30 million cars. Use it or lose it is a fundamental law of tendon warfare. If you're not using your tendons and loading them at different ranges over a period of time, they will become deconditioned and weak, just like muscle. You need to be using your muscle or else you're going to atrophy. Final occupation began with a device in every pocket. Constant head down positions, thumb overuse. There's actually a condition where you can inflame the tendons in your thumb from overuse of the thumb or putting it in bad positions, either from using smartphones or from training. I'm pretty sure it's called de Quervain's, something like that.
De Quervain's tenosynovitis.
Not to mention the elimination of walking to places due to things like the subway, trains, and just public transport in general. Many of our tendons now operate in the smallest ranges in human history, like soldiers confined to a single trench. Standing desks, balance boards, ergonomic everything. In the 80s, some people tried to mount a resistance and fight back. Gym culture, aerobics, and jogging all became popular. Women went from exercising about 1 hour per week on average in 1965 to 3 hours on average in the 1980s. But here's the tragic error they made. You can't win an 8-hour siege with just a 1 hour counterattack. By 2010, training time dropped to about 2 hours per week on average. This produced what a lot of doctors termed at the time weekend warriors. These were people that would surrender, not do much in terms of training their tendons all week, and then suddenly on the weekend launch counter offensives, doing sport, doing training, getting active as soon as they can. You might only have time for proper tendon training and body weight conditioning on the weekends, where you do your front lever holds, your back levers, your weighted pull-ups, things like that, rather than systematically structuring your training during the week so you can fight back consistently. Even our home life defenses crumbled. You guys know how tiring it is cleaning your room, let alone the whole house, and back then this was seriously like an intense full body workout. So from 1965 to 2010, women's home movement hours dropped significantly from 40 hours to 27 hours per week, again due to a lot of new innovations that saved time and were less effort. In 1960, President John F. Kennedy issued a tactical assessment called the Soft American.
This should be a matter of concern to us all. A country is as strong really as its citizens. And I think that mental and physical health, mental and physical vigor go hand in hand. I hope that we will not find a day in the United States when all of us are spectators except for a few who are out on the field. I hope all Americans will be on the field. All of us will participate in the life around us, and in so doing we'll be better citizens and happier ones.
Our intelligence was accurate, but we ignored the warning. Reduced physical activity, limited walking, weakened home defenses, increased screen warfare. It's clear our tendon forces have been systematically disrupted by modernity. The enemy succeeded in creating what I call tendon poverty. Same idea as when you get tested and you get told your metabolic age. So obviously you want this to be ideally lower than your current age, but obviously if you have a metabolic age older than you are, that's not great. Same idea for your tendons. A lot of us now have the tendon age or in tendon poverty, and it seems like we have the tendons of people that are over 60 because we don't condition them enough. On the other side of things, elite gymnasts and now recently calisthenics athletes appear to be our remaining special forces. People in these communities and a few other communities have retained their tendon readiness our grandparents had, with a good amount of tendon resilience, the opposite of tendon poverty, that has been a result of their training that just isn't common anymore. In phase 1, we're going to interrupt the siege that modernity is putting on us. This is going to improve your tendon function and break the pattern patterns destroying you. Stand, stretch, deep squats, do whatever you need to do to keep your tendons moving and not in the small ranges of movements they're confined to. You need to be getting your steps in. In this stage, we're loading our tendons, but not too intensely, but frequently. This is going to bring a lot of that function back and you're going to be feeling a lot better, not to mention all the other benefits of getting your steps in. You're going to go back to boot camp, things you would do in basic training, wall sits, dead hangs, calf raises with holds. All these things are going to build up those tendons. For some of you more advanced soldiers, I'm going to get you to stretch your pecs. There's this really good pec stretch that not a lot of people do and is great for the pec tendon as well as the bicep tendon. So if you're very advanced, likely you did a lot of pushing exercises, this is going to be great for you, as well as band dislocates. This one is very easy. Everyone can do this one, you scale it. But for more advanced athletes, go for a really deep band dislocate and go for this pec stretch. Tendons adapt through sustained training campaigns, so you need to load them well and load them often. Think months of consistent pressure going up and up, not days of intense assault. Now in this next stage, we're going to eliminate your weak points. I want you to perform isometric holds for 3 sets, 30 seconds each, at a very high intensity, about 60% of your peak muscle contraction. You want to be going to about 80 to 90% of that, because that's where you're going to stimulate the tendon and collagen synthesis, which will build your tendon stronger. You can perform bodyweight movements like planche leans or wall handstand holds. These are great movements that are going to start loading your tendons to a great degree if you do them to the right intensity and hold them long enough. So you can start in something like a knee planche lean, just getting used to the position, and then over time going to a regular planche lean, and then working on your tuck planche. For more advanced soldiers, of course, doing things like front lever and planche, those static movements, they're isometric, so they're gonna start building your tendons, especially if you start holding for longer periods of time and start building up that volume. You can also do chest to wall handstand progressions, archer push-ups, as well as negatives. Negatives and heavy eccentrics, even with dumbbells, are going to be great for conditioning your tendons. So even if you have cables or dumbbells at home, if you can load the tendon heavy enough, go slow and controlled, increase that time under tension, you're going to condition your tendons as well by doing that. Now in this last phase, you're going to achieve the amount of tendon strength that would make people in the 1970s jealous. This is where you start working on more advanced bodyweight movements, so things like the impossible dip that condition the tricep tendons to an insane degree. Again, there's always progressions for these if you want to start learning. The planche, of course, and getting on to more advanced movements like Maltese if you're even more advanced. But of course, always start off with the easiest progression. But by doing these bodyweight exercises, you're going to be fighting modernity and improving your tendon strength. Just keep in mind the timeline. Tendons adapt slowly. I think it's something like 5 to 6 times longer than muscle. So think months, not weeks. Now you may be a little bit scared. Is it the right time for me to be training my tendons? Is my body ready? Am I too old? All these questions. The good news is I've helped many different people, all different types of soldiers, younger and older, over 40 as well, learn advanced tendon loading movements like the planche, and I can help you as well. All you need to do is go down to the description, complete a coaching application form, and I'll take it from there. If you're not sure where to start exactly, I do have other instructional videos on exercises you can do with dumbbells simply at home or at the gym to start conditioning your tendons.